Good.
Yes.
So this video is about vocabulary of skeletal muscle and the attachment muscles to bones. Muscles almost always works in group. The group usually, confine of a muscle that moves the joint to one direction and the opposite muscle that moves the joint to the opposite direction. So if, for example, you look at every joint, most of them have set of two muscles that oppose each other. So we're starting with this in mind. We're starting with the prime mover. Prime mover is a muscle that crosses a joint that is the strongest muscle for that movement. For example, in the elbow, flexing the elbow, there are, say, 2 to 3 muscles that will do that. And the prime mover is the strongest muscle that does that movement, yeah, which is called brachialis. Okay, so that's a prime mover. Synergist is a muscle that helps the prime mover. So it's not that strong, but the body usually have more than one muscle for a specific movement. Why do you think the body does not have only one muscle, but has few for each movement?
To be flexible.
Makes it stronger.
So we can be flexible.
Flexible?
If one gets damaged, the other.
Yeah, if one gets damaged, you have the other one. So it gives flexibility and doesn't put all the eggs in one basket. Yeah? Okay. So the third one is the antagonist. Antagonist muscles is a concept. If we have a muscle that does a movement, the antagonist muscle would be the opposite muscle that does the opposite movement. For example, if you have muscle that does this movement, the antagonist muscle would do that movement. If you have a muscle that does this movement, the antagonist muscle would do the opposite. If you have muscle that does that, antagonist would be doing the opposite. Do you understand the concept?
Yeah.
So antagonist could be every muscle, depending on what you want. If you're flexing the elbow, the antagonist is the extension. If you're extending the elbow, the antagonist is flexion. Yeah? Good. Few other muscles, we have what called postural muscles. Postural muscles, I think it's on page 7, are muscles that helps us in being standing erect, like that. Yeah? So, where do you think would be these muscles? Where would it be in the body?
In
In the spine?
Yeah.
In
In the lower limb?
belly.
Not so much in the belly.
Shoulders.
Can you relax your belly, especially after lunch? Can you relax the belly and still stand straight? You can. What you need is actually the back muscles, the spinal muscles on the back.
What about your shoulder?
Do you need the shoulder in order to stand?
No, it's for posture.
No. So you don't really need postural muscles here, but you need really on the back of the leg, yeah, front of the thigh, and hip, on the back of the hip, and the spine. And these are where postural muscles, and you can predict that they will be stronger because they just move, they just contract a lot of the time during, think about your spinal muscles. For most of the day, even when you're sitting, they have to contract. Otherwise, your head goes down, yeah? So these muscles needs to be resilient. They needs to be, like a marathon runners. they need to contract for a long time.
You know, people talk about core muscles.
We'll come to it.
Okay,
Okay,
right.
can I continue?
Yes.
Thank you. Then we have two other muscles, one called white fibers and the other one called red fibers, or white and dark. Have you come across this? Yeah? Okay. What are these? Every muscles in our body has some blood in it. Yeah? Some of the muscles have more, not exactly blood, but something that's similar to what the blood has. It's not hemoglobin that the blood has, but it's called myoglobin, which basically, these are molecules that looks red, that attract oxygen. So you have certain muscles that are called red muscle cells that have more of the oxygen. And funnily enough, those are mostly the postural muscles. Because postural muscles, they need all the time oxygen. They need all the time to contract. They cannot become fatigued suddenly. Yeah? So they are more likely to be red muscles. Red muscles are very resilient, but the contraction speed is relatively slow. So in the postural muscles, you need to move quickly. Not much. I mean, you need to move quickly here, in your arms, but you need to move quickly in your spine. No. You better have strong muscles that are resilient rather than quick muscle that become fatigued quicker. So these are the red muscle fiber or red muscle cells. As opposed to that, the other types of muscles we have called the white fiber muscles. Now, they don't have a lot of oxygen, so what we can assume is that they will get tired quickly. Yeah, because they don't have a built-in reservoir of oxygen inside. They don't have great blood supply, but they can twitch, they can contract quicker. For example, in your fingers you have, in your arms, when you need to move quickly, you need more white muscles fibers. However, if you know if you do task on your hands, you can get tired more in your shoulders than in your legs. Legs, we can walk for a long distance because we have red muscle fiber. Here, in our arm, we get tired quicker. So you see that those muscles are quite different from one another, and they manifest in few other ways that we'll talk about them later. Okay, so let's cut this video.